Hi, everyone. I'm Rebecca Nadelka, your Realtor Mom. Welcome back to my podcast. Today, we are going to talk about something that every homeowner needs to hear: insurance. I know it might not be the most glamorous thing, and some of us probably get frustrated at times. However, it is one of the most important things when you purchase a home. So today, I brought in someone who can help make sense of it all. Maybe even a little more fun, but my friend and insurance expert, Leigh Clements, who is with Laskowski Agency, and I trust her to make sure that my clients are going to be taken care of and know that their insurance needs are covered. So, Leigh, do you want to start by telling us a little bit about you and how long you've been in the industry and stuff like that?
Sure. Great. Becky, thanks so much for having me today. I am relatively new to the industry. I've been around for about a little over a year and started a second career. And I believe in servicing my clients, making sure that they have full coverage with affordable pricing and the best customer service that I can give them. It's kind of like being on Cheers, where everybody knows your name. We believe in that. We believe in the agency. And getting to know our clients and knowing who they are so we can best cover them.
I am actually, based on everything I know and the service that you've provided, I'm shocked to hear you've only been in it for a year because you definitely bring a lot of knowledge and expertise. And I know that you make my clients feel comfortable and at peace with the decisions that they're making with their policies.
Sure.
So that's
Thank
good
you.
piece of information.
Thanks. Yeah, that's important.
So to get started, I want to kind of touch on some of the things that homeowners might get wrong. Like, what are some of the mistakes that you think homeowners make when it comes to insurance policy? Like, what are things that maybe they're just not knowledgeable about, or they think, I don't know if I really need that?
I think some of the biggest mistakes made out there are they are underinsured. Like they don't really know what they need to know. And sometimes getting insurance online can be less expensive and quick and easy to a client, but it doesn't necessarily guarantee them full coverage. And so we try to make sure that clients have full coverage, peace of mind, so that their biggest asset is protected, which is their home. So I think they need to know their policy. And I think every year it's good to refresh, kind of have a look over, see what is on their policy. Maybe it needs updated. Rates change all the time. So it's good to just get another estimate, good to know what's out there, and just understand what their policy is saying and doing for them, how it's protecting their biggest asset.
So when I never realized that you needed to check your insurance rates. Before I became a realtor, I had the same insurance policy for, I think, 15 years and just never quoted it, never had it updated, never did any of that. And when I learned that that is something that you should have reevaluated and requoted, I was, one, super annoyed, two, shocked that I was overpaying by like $400 or $500 on my policy because I didn't shop it around. And I think I was talking to Jake and maybe just kept paying the increase every year as it came. Sure. And eventually I was $400 to $500 over where I could have been.
Where you could have been, yeah.
So that's one of the things too that I really like about your agency is because you have the ability to shop the policy around with different carriers, whereas Jake only had one brand. So sure. That's, you want to kind of explain how that works and
sure,
what your options are when you cover people with their insurance.
Right. So it is good to have your policy reviewed every year. It's also good to have an agent that will be able to know whose insurance score is better. And that changes with time. It changes with credit. It changes with a lot of things. So I run everybody through a particular carrier and then flip names like husband and wife, and that can oftentimes be a difference of thousands of dollars.
Wow.
Or it could be $50, right? 50 people aren't going to change necessarily, but if it's a couple hundred or even a couple thousand, makes a big difference. So that's important to know too, that we as an agency really care about our clients and want to make sure that you get the most coverage for the most affordable pricing.
Right.
So we have about 15 to 20 different carriers that we will search and quote with. 5 are our top ones, our preferred ones, but I always go to the far reaches too, just to make sure that everybody gets coverage on a budget that they can afford.
Right. And for a first-time home buyer or somebody looking to just buy a new home, whether it's a first-time home buyer or somebody upsizing and buying their step-up housing, that insurance can make a difference on affording the house versus not.
Right.
Is it going to be that drastic? Maybe not if it's $50 difference, but a couple $100 or a couple thousand, that could be huge. And I know in my most recent insurance evaluation, it was over $1,000 in my personal homeowners. So I know it makes a big difference. And when you talk $1,000 to some people in the grand scheme of things with buying a house that's a couple $100,000, $1,000 doesn't sound like much. But in a monthly payment, think about it, $1,200 is $100 a month.
Right.
So that's a big difference when you deal with your mortgage and your insurance being wrapped into your escrow.
Definitely.
So I love that you guys have. That's probably one of my favorite things, is that I know you're going to run it to get the clients the best options for them.
The other thing we can do, Becky, since you mentioned first-time home buyers too, is we like to run loss reports for a home buyer, even if they're thinking about it before they've closed on a deal or whatever. We can run and tell you the history of what's happened in that home. So anything that happens in a home will follow a home buyer. And so we try to let the new buyers know what has happened, because we want to make sure that the current home buyer or homeowner has taken care of why something happened.
Right.
Things like a tornado, we can't prevent, right? That's just Mother Nature. However, things that are like leaking pipes, fires, why did that fire happen? Things like that. We can tell a potential buyer what's happened in that home and what they can be in store for.
That's definitely good to know. It kind of goes hand in hand with our inspection too. So inspections, knowing, what's there now, but looking back is super valuable for a potential buyer.
Right.
So that's great. That's great to know. Along the lines of coverage and buyers getting into policies, what's one of the things that a lot of people think might be covered but then really isn't, or something that they just assume is part of their plan, and then they find out later, oh, well, that's not covered.
Right. Good question. A lot of times, believe it or not, flood is not covered on most homeowners policies. That's a governmental endorsement that needs to be purchased separately. So, but the other one that goes hand in hand with that is sewer and drain. So I make sure that is on every policy, because it's only a couple extra dollars a month and it is so worth it. So it's anything that comes up through the sewer or the drains. It could be, an overflowing toilet, a bathtub that backs up, things like that. Those things will be covered. But if it's a massive rainstorm, flooding from outside, that is not covered unless you have flood insurance. So sewer and drain insurance is super important to have as an endorsement on every policy. So our agency makes it standard unless a client specifically says no. Then we make note of it, and so that it can never come back, right, and say, we didn't offer it to them.
And I know that's one thing that I had a guest before, Todd, an inspector, was here. And one of the inspections that is an option is a sewer inspection and a sewer scope. So that kind of goes hand in hand with buyers getting their sewer tested potentially. But I'm going to be honest, that's not a super common inspection piece.
Right.
So having that coverage as part of your insurance policy is definitely an advantage to a buyer. Now, flood, I know as an agent, when we sell properties, some properties require, if they're in a floodplain, or it's one of the things as an agent we kind of look at, and it does come up at times that you're going to have flood coverage.
Sure.
But my house that's not in a floodplain might my driveway slopes down.
Sure.
So having that flood, like just say my basement or whatever, everything floods, I could be in trouble if I don't have flood insurance, is what you're saying.
Yes. Yes, definitely. So flood insurance is one of the big ones. Earthquake, you can also get that as a separate endorsement, but it is not automatically covered here. Termites, believe it or not, that's considered maintenance.
Okay.
So that is something that homeowners should take care of, and that's putting money aside, for bug inspections or, just exterminators, things like that. The other one is mold. That's often a really big one. Some people believe that mold should be covered on homeowners insurance. It is only covered if you have if a direct peril is affected. So if a pipe bursts, then and that develops mold, then it would be covered. But if it's just mold that accumulates because you've got a leaky pipe underneath your sink cabinet that you just have not maintained, that is not going to be covered.
So if you have a leak and you're maybe not aware of it, and it's
a slow leak,
that mold is not covered.
Insurance covers occurrences, so things that happen. A water boiler exploding, a pipe bursting, things like that, fires, those are the things that are covered. But if it's regular long-term thing, maintenance, that's on the homeowner.
Right. So keep that in mind as you're buying a house. You need to do the maintenance to get the insurance coverage.
Right.
And, homeowners often we see in a lot of reports with the inspection that there's deferred maintenance. Those are going to be things that they're deferred maintenance, but they're called out for a reason because they might not then be covered by your insurance policy if you're not taking care of those things.
Right.
So that's really good to know. And I think super helpful. And I think just going through, this isn't just necessarily for new home buyers,
right?
But those of you that own a home, this is super valuable information to know about your insurance policy. Because I'm going to be honest, I gripe about my insurance, and it's no offense to Leigh, but I don't want to file claims because if I have to file a claim, my instant response is, oh, well, there goes my premium. It's going to go up.
Sure.
I don't want it to go up. So if I just do those things to maintain my house,
right,
I'm more likely to not have to file a claim. Or when I do have something major happen, I'm going to file the claim, but at least I know then it will be covered and I'm not filing a claim for no reason.
Exactly. And that's the other benefit of having an agent or an agency that does care is that we tell our clients, even when we book them, call us before you file any claim, because if your deductible is, let's say, $1,000 and you've got a $1,200 thing that's going on, we're going to tell you to just pay it because it's just not worth it. It's better to save it for something big and life altering when you really need insurance, because companies these days really don't look so kindly on so many claims.
Right.
And it just does increase your rate and increases the rates for everybody. And then it's harder to find insurance. So you're better to maintain, not have to file a claim unless it's really big.
Right. And so then, kind of like you mentioned, the sewer and drain coverage, that might save you a couple bucks a month right now, but in the long run, it could end up costing you more money because you don't have that coverage. And now, let's just say you have to replace or do some work to your sewer line.
Yeah.
That might have been covered with the appropriate coverage. Exactly. So how is it that buyers can tell if they're getting a good policy or if it's just a cheap one? Obviously we all shop rates.
Sure.
And there are things that we're going to save money. I probably don't have flood coverage, but I've been in my house for a long time and really we have a sump pump and all that. So I don't feel like I need it, but what is a way to tell if your policy is good or just cheap?
Well, cheap is cheap for a reason, right? That you get exactly what you purchase when you get a cheap policy. You're not going to have full coverage. So you want to make sure that you've got all the correct endorsements. Sewer and drain. You want to make sure that you've got liability. You want to make sure that you've got medical expenses. You want to make sure that you have enough that gives you peace of mind that if, heaven forbid, something happens, the insurance company is going to cover it and you will be fully replaced. So that's the other thing. Replacement value is a really big thing when you're buying homeowners insurance. So replacement value versus actual cash value. And ACV, or actual cash value, is going to be less costly to you monthly, but it's not going to give you anything if your house burns down or if your house completely, something happens to it, explodes, something happens with your furnace or whatever. It's just not going to cover it at full replacement value. So that's really going to be your best value. And knowing what your policy says, you want to be able to trust your agent so that you can call your agent or your agency and ask them questions and understand exactly what your policy covers, because that's what most people don't know. They just go for the cheap, easy. I could give several examples about clients that just get online and add things to their policy but don't fully understand or take things off because I don't want to pay that extra $20 a month or an extra $7 a month or whatever it is. We all want to cut corners, but sometimes you just can't do that with your homeowner's policy.
Sure. And so I think that you might have just explained. So when I was looking into changing up some coverage, I think the actual cash value versus the replacement value, I looked at them, I'm like, well, why are you trying to cover me for $500,000? My house will never sell for $500,000. So I'm assuming that I was thinking actual cash value.
Right. Because replacement cost is the cost it would take to rebuild your entire home ground up. So you're talking about labor, materials, what the current rate is. And so that's going to change from when you buy your house, let's say in year 2000 versus let's say 2025. The rates have changed. The prices have changed of labor and material. So
you think?
Yeah, just a little bit. So you're probably better to pay that little bit of extra replacement value so that if something does happen, you get your house back.
Is there ever a situation that paying actual cash value would be beneficial then? Because I can't, the
only time people that we would even recommend actual cash value is when someone has a dwelling fire property, so a landlord property, because then the renters have to have their own insurance. But if you're a landlord, you can get away with doing actual cash value. It's not preferred, but if they're looking to go cheap on their insurance, we can do it because it's almost a double insurance plan.
Sure.
The landlord and then the renter also has their own policy.
So for my investor clients, you might be able to get away with an actual cash value policy, whereas my traditional home buyers really should always consider that replacement cost with your insurance. Don't cut corners there, especially, I'd surely help you find a new house, but that's not the way that I want to do it. I don't want you to lose your current house and just be out. We want to make sure that you have that coverage. So, trusting the person that handles your insurance is super important for a buyer to make sure that they have the right coverage. So that's kind of a lot of the basics of the policies. I want to get into some of the stories that you have, because I'm sure you have tons, maybe some of the lessons that people can learn from your stories. I'm sure that even in just a year, you've seen quite a bit. Yeah. So what's a story that you might have where having the right coverage saved a client and proved to be beneficial, that they maybe paid a little bit more for their coverage?
Sure. Yeah, good. So we have a client who are snowbirds. And so they went to Florida for a couple of months and lovely, came back and they had turned their water off in their home before they left to go away. They drained all their pipes, turned the water off, did all of that. Which is recommended just while they're gone in winter, right?
Winterizing your
home, exactly. But their cleaning people came in right before they returned from Florida. And so the cleaning ladies were upstairs trying to clean, doing stuff, and they turned on the faucets in the bathroom and no water. So they were like, well, they forgot to turn them off. So a couple weeks later, the homeowners come home from Florida. They turned the main water valve back on, decided to go out, run some errands, have some lunch. They were gone from, they said, about 9:30 in the morning till about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And so, as you can imagine, they turned that water back on the main thing, and the water and the faucets upstairs in the bathroom ran for that entire time. So thankfully, they had plenty of coverage, and the water seeped over the sinks because the drains were pulled, because the cleaning people had cleaned and just didn't put the drains down. So the sinks filled up, flowed over. all over the second floor and then down into the first floor. So water moves fast.
Water
right?
moves really fast.
Water is dangerous. Water is one of those things you just don't want to mess with. And so we paid out about $183,000 for that house to be put back to being fully restored. So in that case, he had plenty of coverage and it was really well worth it. They had to move out for a period of time. So your insurance covers that loss of use and you can move out. It's covered to stay in a rental property until your home is repaired. So that was a great,
wow.
I mean, it was really difficult for them,
Sure.
obviously.
You hope that it doesn't happen, but the peace of mind is knowing that it's going to be covered.
Yes.
Imagine not having the right coverage, you have this big accident within your house, and now you have to pay $180,000. Most of us probably aren't
going to be able to do
that. That's a tough one.
Right.
So that's awesome that they had the right policy, and you guys recommended that, obviously, to make sure they had the coverage.
Yeah.
Because I know that you guys, as an agency, look out for clients and always make sure that at least offering the appropriate coverage. As a buyer, you have to make sure that you're trusting your agent, so you're trusting what they're telling you.
Yeah.
And that's a great situation where it paid off.
It did pay off. It did. And, we like to shop a lot for our clients. We watch for premium increases so that we have a great staff that will tell us, and then we just shop. So we'll shop for you before you even know that we're shopping for you.
Gotcha.
So you're covered.
So on the opposite end, I'm sure you've got people who were a little bit stubborn and maybe had to learn the hard way where they didn't have the coverage.
Yes.
You have situations like that? I'm sure probably more than not.
More than not, sadly.
People want to save money, and saving money on your insurance is not a place to be cheap.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's a situation where that maybe happened?
So we have a client who was having a dinner party, a little get together, several couples over, and they had a friend pull into their driveway, and he meant to hit reverse and instead hit the gas pedal and went forward right into the house. So the homeowner at this time did not have sufficient coverage. I mean, had bare minimum because they wanted to save money, trying to cut corners, and they had a lovely home, but they tried to cut the corners, and the driver of the car had just enough insurance to cover a little bit, but then it went to the homeowner to pay for the balance. So that's really not exactly the most ideal situation. It's probably more of not having enough car insurance coverage, but it still was the balance between home and car and being able to have that covered. So, so the homeowner ended up paying about $38,000 out of his pocket to pay for the damages that were done on top of the $100,000 that the car insured person paid.
Wow.
So that's never a fun thing. We've also got another story where a couple came home on a Friday night, right? Everyone gets pizza sometimes on a Friday because you're just exhausted. You don't want to cook dinner, right?
I mean, I cook every day, though. Who would order pizza ever?
Okay, we're coming to your house for dinner on Friday
Yeah, that's
tonight.
not true, though. I like to cook, but I am often here at my office super late, and good luck for my family.
So you might pick up a pizza on the way home.
Yep,
right?
I sure do.
Exactly. So they came home, they had pizza, and then decided to go out and meet some friends. So they took the pizza box, they set it on top of the stove. They have 2 German Shepherds. And the Shepherds, of course, they're dogs. They smell the pizza, the pepperoni, whatever was on it, and they decided to jump up and get the pizza. When they did that, they hit the knobs on the stove, which turned it on, and smoke quickly filled. I mean, it didn't catch fire, but it just smoldered, right? It's that smoky.
And smoke is really hard to get out. That is
really, really bad.
That's a rough one. And Jade, my daughter, she'll probably be super mad at me telling this story.
Oh no, sorry, Jade.
Back when she was a little bit younger and I worked not as a realtor out of the house and I had to leave for work, and she would get her breakfast and get on the bus. She decided she was going to make frozen pancakes and microwave them, which is fine, right? You just throw your pancakes in the microwave. Well, she read that you were supposed to microwave them for 10 minutes.
Oh boy.
Yep. don't microwave pancakes for 10 minutes because I think for the next 2 weeks, my house reeked of horrible smoke. It just was so hard, and it was in the winter. So leaving the windows open to let it air out was not ideal, but smoke
does a lot of damage.
It just, yeah.
It does. So it took a long time for that homeowner because they just didn't have enough coverage. And so, we made it work, they made it work, but, and the carrier was super supportive. However, it just, on a fluky thing, right? You just set a pizza box down and the dogs are hungry and they happen to hit the knob and it flipped it on. So got to always make sure you put things away, know what you're doing, protect your house like it's a business.
And one of the things that you mentioned with the previous story was, the car that hit the house maybe didn't have the appropriate coverage either. Right. But one of the things that you can do, and I recommend this to my clients as well, don't just have them cover your homeowners. Try to get that multi-policy discount with your car too. So yes, you're going to have your homeowner's insurance quoted, but have them run everything. It doesn't cost anybody to have it run.
Doesn't.
And you can see the savings of the multi-policy versus... so if you are one of those people, rather than cut coverage, maybe look into a multi-policy and tie in your car. The more you cover, I think the better rates.
It is.
So you're going to save on both sides of it.
Yeah. So home and auto is always good to bundle. And then we always recommend and encourage people to have umbrellas, because had that homeowner had an umbrella, his homeowner's insurance would have paid what they were required to. And then the umbrella is the overarching policy that is just that extra added protection that would have kicked in, and it would have been fully covered. So no money out of your own pocket.
Right.
So having an umbrella with a high value home, high value cars is always really important to make sure you add to your policy.
Sure, absolutely. So we may have already hit what you're going to say the answer to this, but I want to kind of bring it out one more time. Is what is one type of coverage that people overlook, but they absolutely should have it? If you were going to tell them to add one type of coverage to their policy that they're overlooking, what would that be?
Personal liability. I think you must always have a high number for personal liability. Our agency will do $500,000 so that everybody, and that covers liable, you're being sued if someone gets hurt in your home, if there's medical payments, that's what the personal liability is going to cover. So we'll do 300,000, but we really recommend $500,000 or higher to make sure that you are fully covered, because in today's age, people can get happy trying to sue someone to cover anything and some. And so we want to make sure that you have a peace of mind if you have people to your home, that you are fully covered should something accidentally happen. And it's not intentional ever, right?
Right.
The accidents happen, that's why they're accidents.
So somebody trips on my sidewalk outside.
Someone trips on your sidewalk, the liability coverage would definitely take care of that.
What if somebody's at my house and we're having a get together, and let's just say it started snowing and my driveway's icy? Would that, and they fall down my driveway and they break their leg or something unforeseen happens?
They're covered, yes.
I could be sued, though, if I don't have the right coverage.
Correct.
I would hope nobody that I'm inviting to my house
would ever
do that to me.
I don't know. There might be a few people, but no.
I don't know. Maybe someone's going to come to my house and just show up and fall in my driveway because they want to sue me. But as long as you have that coverage, you're protected.
You are, yeah. So it's good. It's good safe. It's a good safety. It's like putting a seatbelt on, right? When you get in the car, it's just coverage of yourself. So
I might have to have you double check my policies
personal
to make sure that they're all good.
And it's only a couple extra dollars a month to make sure that you've got good personal liability. So that is something that I think absolutely is required. And we always do $500,000 for everybody.
Okay, that's fair. So moving into what I ask every guest throughout the podcast that I do, I always want everyone in their field to give what would one piece of advice, tough love, that you would give to a potential homeowner with regards to their insurance?
I say treat your home like a business. Know your policy, know what it's covered, know what isn't covered. That's almost as important as knowing what is covered is the things that aren't covered, like the flood insurance, right? Making sure that you have any kind of high value item scheduled and covered on your policy. That could be jewelry, an engagement ring, a piece of art, a piano, a musical instrument, a piece of artwork, anything like that. So don't not cover it for just a couple extra dollars a month. It's just not smart to do, and it's so worth it. And you have to always budget for maintenance, for sure. Don't let pride and being like, I live in this great home and everything like that, but I'm not going to take care of it, because one day it will catch up to you, especially with things like the roof. Roof is the number one thing that carriers look at. So when you're buying a home, know the age of your roof, negotiate, can it be replaced before you even purchase it? Know how long you have in that roof. So just know your policy, know the numbers, know what it takes to maintain the type of home that you are buying.
Yeah. So I'm actually glad you brought up roof, because this is probably more for the agents than the home buyers, and it's still for the home buyers, but agents need to be knowledgeable about this, because lately there's been a change with how roofs are covered. So when we're shopping for houses, my thought is always, we expect it to be typically a 30-year roof, 30-year shingle. You should have, a long period of time. Your roof's expensive. It usually lasts for a pretty decent period of time. And lately, so if I get my inspection report and the roof is estimated to be 15 years old, I'm going to look at my buyers and say, that's good. You probably still have about half of the life left, maybe a little bit less. So you're not going to have to replace your roof anytime soon, hopefully. But with the insurance changes lately, we're getting hit with, well, that roof's 15 years old and we may not cover it. And so it's kind of hard as an agent when you're negotiating to ask a home seller to replace a 15-year-old roof.
Right.
So what options do we have?
Then you go to actual cash value on that roof instead of replacement cost of the roof, which typically happens with any sliding scale when you're insuring a roof. Pictures are always good. Our secret is wet and forget. So we tell everybody, buy as much wet and forget, pour it on your roof a day or so before it's going to rain, and then it will get rid of all the streak marks. It will get rid of all the discoloration so that it makes your roof look.
Is that a real thing?
It is. It's the best stuff ever.
Wet and forget.
Wet and forget.
Okay, now I'm learning something very new today. Wet and forget. I need to make note of this.
We tell our clients that all the time. And so Costco sells it, Mark sells it, Home Depot, everybody, you can buy it on Amazon too. So everyone has it, but yeah, roofs are pretty critical, and carriers vary from each one to the next.
So usually you can find coverage. It may not be where you thought you were going to get it, but it is a thing to consider.
Yeah.
So like I said, as an agent, I'm going to have a hard time negotiating a new roof when it's only 15 years old.
Right.
And an insurance carrier that my buyer may have selected may not cover it, but that's why you go to someone like Leigh, who can run it through multiple carriers very easily for you and find the appropriate coverage.
Yeah. And sometimes it means I go out and take pictures. I've taken more pictures of people's homes standing at angles to send into carriers to show that it's in good shape. So it might be 15, 17 years old, but if it's in really good condition, we can get it through with an underwriter. And that's why we have good relationships with our underwriters at the carriers to help get some of these homes insured.
And so then if you have a situation, because it does happen, I have sellers and I always ask, age of mechanicals, age of roof, anything, age of windows, if they just don't know how old the roof is. Maybe they bought it from somebody and they didn't know the age of the roof. When we're asked the question, how do we get around not knowing? Is that just where we go with the visual and what is estimated?
We will estimate. We will go by an estimate then, and we will get pictures, and I will upload it to.
And that's where we're going to wet and forget.
That's where we're going to wet and forget it.
Okay, got it. So sellers, wet and forget for your roofs.
Very important. Works on sidewalks too. It gets rid of mold, mildew, everything. It's the best stuff ever.
Wow.
Yeah. Great tip to have.
We know I like to shop. On my shopping list, it might be wet and forget because, wow, that's awesome. Okay, so once a buyer actually closes on their home, what is something with their policy that they would want to double check and make sure that they have?
Sure.
Is there anything that they should do, or, we're confident that once they get their policy, they're good?
Yeah, I think you need to just read over it, know what your endorsements are, know that everything is covered you want covered. You've got sewer and drain, you've got anything scheduled if it's jewelry or art, things like that. Just know your policies and know your deductibles. That's the big thing too, is know what your deductibles are. They could be anywhere from $1,000 to $2,500, which is pretty standard these days, $2,500. So just know that, and know that you're just never going to file a claim that's certainly less than $2,500, or I would say even up to $3,000. I probably wouldn't file a claim.
So you're telling us that we should be reading our policy.
Well,
is there an easy way? Because I think if I remember correctly, my policy's like 60 some pages.
It's a long one. Yeah.
Is there an easy way to read the policy?
Know your agent, and the agent will give you all the highlights and the things you need to know. I believe in giving my clients an email telling them exactly what's covered, what isn't covered, and highlighting what their deductibles are. So
and that's definitely another reason that you want to trust the person that is insuring your most probable biggest purchase of your life, because having that trust in your insurance agent should make you comfortable that you have what you need. God forbid something happens to your home.
Absolutely.
So we already hit on this, but it is a big one. And I want to reiterate bundling our home and auto.
Yeah.
I know the answer because I know it's not a marketing trick. It really is the smart way to go about things.
It is. It is.
What kind of savings do you think?
I can give you a great example. I just had one yesterday. A client, I quoted her as a bundled policy with home and auto, and she was like, "Why is this so high? I got it for $800 at company B." And I said, "Well, you can do that, but typically if a home value is over $500,000, we try to bundle everything. We bundle at any cost, so it doesn't matter. But specifically her home was $1 million. So why wouldn't you bundle home and auto so that you get the better deal?" So I quoted it out individually, home and auto separately. And when I split them, the $800 savings she had in auto with company B was added to her homeowner's policy because it was a standalone, a monoline policy. So what you think you might be saving on one product, you're going to most definitely end up adding to another.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever not bundled my home and auto. Just, it's almost a no-brainer. And then you're dealing with one person versus this agent here and this agent here.
Right.
You add up those two policies and they are, I don't know a situation where it's not going to save you money really.
Oh, huge.
To bundle. So
I saved her about $1,500 by bundling versus going separate. Even though the price looked less for auto than it did when it was bundled together, it looked cheaper by itself. That's why cheap is cheap. It's never going to work.
Right.
Right.
And we said that cheap is cheap.
Right.
Yes, there are probably things within offerings from an insurance company that you might not need, but you really need to think about what you should have versus what you can probably get away with not having. But valuable items within your house, add the extra coverage. It's worth it. If it gets stolen and that's gone and you can't replace it, there's nothing's gonna bring it back. You're gonna be out the money, and you may have spent a couple dollars to have the coverage for it, but that couple dollars is worth it.
It is.
If something happens.
Peace of mind, comfort.
I know things like computers and stuff are often covered as additional.
They are covered. Yep. It's an additional endorsement. It's worth it. Cybersecurity.
Yep.
Personal liability. All of those things.
So when you're not just buying a home when you make a home purchase, you're buying a home and you're protecting all the things, the life that you are going to build within your home. That's what your insurance is going to protect.
Exactly.
Is kind of what you've worked so hard for. Don't let it disappear because of lack of coverage.
Right.
Make sure that you have a trusted professional. And, I'm going to be honest, when it comes to the insurance portion with my clients, I don't really get involved. I get involved by giving them somebody that I trust to handle that for them. I may not know what all they need because I'm not an insurance agent, but I know that when I give them Leigh's contact information that they're going to be taken care of. So having that trust in me as your agent should also, I'm not going to refer you to somebody I don't trust. So, definitely want to have that confidence in the person that's handling your insurance. Not only is the person handling the purchase, trust the person that's handling your insurance as well.
Definitely.
So we're almost out of time.
Yeah.
I want to obviously thank you so much for being here and kind of going through the insurance coverage and breaking it down, making it sound a little bit more understandable to the people that are buying a house. And, I care about my clients. I know you care about your clients. So if you're a homeowner and you're looking for coverage, even if you're not buying a house with me, contact Leigh. She can make sure that the coverage that you have is correct. But if you're looking to buy a home, remember that Rebecca Nadelka is me, your realtor mom, and I promise you I will keep your process simple, smooth, and sold.